So they tried to make me look really bad. They did everything that they could. They found people to try to get me drunk, to date rape me, but then try to say that I was seduced or that I was promiscuous when I wasn't. They they wrote me up as crazy. They put me in jail as a criminal when I hadn't done anything wrong. They called me violent. They called me everything. They stripped me of my entire character, everything. Anybody who came into contact with me could see how I was. Just as I'm speaking now, you can see while I talk that I'm not a lunatic. However, on paper, they got so much paperwork and documentation going against me that anyone looking into any kind of internal file or record or documentation who didn't have immediate proximity to me and access to speaking with me and observing me would naturally think that there is something seriously wrong with me. And so this was a means of discrediting me for protecting government agencies and criminals that they were associated with. So after, with the FBI on the side of my enemies then in 2004, I was then tortured with more extreme migraines and increasing migraines. And then when I asked for a medical abatement, which I had a right to ask for and I had documentation to ask for it, it was refused. I was trying to postpone it a little bit to try to figure out what was going on and get things in order. However, I was thinking about it last night, and honestly, I mean, I've mentioned that I got sort of suspicious about the occurrence of the migraines and how they were happening during court hearings after about 2004. However, I want to say that I remember thinking it was odd even in 1997 when I was having kind of regularly scheduled migraines at CTR Business Systems. And that was unusual to me because I thought, how come I'm now having migraines after joking about, I mean, I was sort of having them sporadically, and then I joked to a few coworkers about how it looked like an excuse, like I was trying to take a 3-day holiday, and all of a sudden then I was having them every single weekend on the exact same day, always on Friday. And that's just not, that's not typical. And I remember even then having absolutely no reason to think that there was a conspiracy, no reason to think that I'd been implanted with microchips, being completely naive and oblivious. I still thought there was something intuitive in the back of my mind just telling me something's not exactly right here. So I sensed it even in 1997. But I didn't realize this is just, that it was really something to kind of experiment with or investigate until it was happening with all of my court cases and interfering. So then of course, I've already explained how I discovered that they were definitely not correlated to a hormonal cycle, and they were correlated to military technology through the Department of Defense covering them. Obviously, someone who was involved in those lawsuits against me, they had to have been connected to people who knew already how to trigger those migraines. And at that time, having me lose those lawsuits benefited the FBI because those lawsuits were to repair my reputation and to make me, and to prove that I was not this this weirdo, as described in the Willamette Week. And by 2004, after I made a report about FBI agents, it was then in the FBI's best interest to have me look like a weirdo, because that worked for them. That worked for their defense. Should I sue them or the FBI as a government agency? It worked for them at that point to have me to absolutely have my reputation trashed. So I basically had no one on my side. I mean, I had people who believed in me and who knew who I was, but then they were getting scared at that point because so many bad things were happening to me, and it's not that they didn't believe me, they did believe me, but they were worried that it was going to happen to their own families. And it was pretty extreme what happened to me, so it rightfully scared a lot of people. And so suddenly my friends were distancing themselves. And after that, as I've said, I had then increasing migraines in Washington State, and I'd been commuting from Washington to Oregon, and then I was blocked, I was obstructed by traveling between those states by government employees. And I'm going to skip over the part about the government employees and how my travel was obstructed to just go straight to the migraines again, and then I can back up and add to that as to why my travel was impeded and at what point it was impeded and then what has happened since then. But anyway, then I had an extreme, I was trying to appeal, I was going to appeal the fact that my lawsuits had failed because I didn't get the medical abatement that I requested. And my travel was obstructed, so I wasn't able to get to court. It was a winning combination.